Right. The international community has been outraged over Iran's treatment of the Iranian woman, Sakineh Mohammadi Ashtiani. She was convicted of having an illicit relationship and sentenced to death by stoning. Now reports that she won't be stoned, but no word on what will happen to her.
Lisa Daftari is a journalist specializing in Iranian and Iranian-American affairs. Good morning, Lisa.
Good morning.
What's the latest information you have as to Ashtiani's fate?
They stated that she won't be stoned. There's been tremendous pressure from the international community, and we've seen in the past that whenever the regime is under this type of pressure, they change their tune a bit, but it might just be postponed. We don't know. She's not off the hook entirely just yet. She might just be, unfortunately, killed in another manner, but for now the stoning has been postponed or canceled, but we shall see what will happen with her.
Yeah, and at least you bring up a great point, because we've seen journalists who have been outspoken about the regime in Iran before, who have, after international pressure, the Iranian government has backed down, but then they very quietly moved them off into detention facilities, hidden them, and done all kinds of horrible things to them. Death, torture. Is that what her fate may be this morning?
Absolutely. I mean, it's been brutal. Already, this woman has been sentenced to prison for 5 years, away from her 2 children. She received 99 lashes, in which her son, at the time, was only a teenager, had to witness. I mean, these things are just mind-boggling. You think they're from, centuries ago, and that's exactly what it is. The government is using Sharia law, or Islamic law, which is based on 2 things, the Quran and the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad. And, you juxtapose that to, we're living in the year 2010, and 70 million people, their fate is in the hands of these ayatollahs, these mullahs who are using these laws.
Lisa, it's so barbaric. It's really even hard to comprehend. Furthermore, there's no evidence that she did commit adultery. Even if you think that should be punished somehow, there's no evidence. Her family has maintained all along her innocence. Give us the context here. How unusual is it what's happening to this woman there?
It's not unusual at all. What's happening here is that she was imprisoned 5 years ago. Her case was basically closed and then reopened. And now she's being convicted on adultery, and the punishment for adultery in Iran is stoning. It's reserved just for women, obviously, who commit adultery, because men are allowed 4 legal wives, 99 contracted or temporary wives. But then for the women, in her case, the punishment does not fit the crime, obviously. It's not unusual. And the biggest kicker of all is that she's being charged on a loophole in Islamic law, which states that the judges in this case can find her guilty without a shred of evidence. And there is no evidence here.
Unbelievable. Lisa Daftari, we always appreciate your insights on these matters. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
And to be clear about this stoning, it's not just them throwing stones. It's them burying her up in sand to this high and allowing her to be stoned nonstop.
So it's a slow, brutal death.
Slow, brutal death. It's not, unbelievable.